Now, it's time for Herman and Sharron.
I love you. Thank you for joining us. This is my first wife, Sharron. Good to have you folks. We try to keep you healthy. We try to give you suggestions that will help the temple of the Holy Spirit. That's our body. If you know Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, and we encourage you. If you don't know Him, today would be that day. Wouldn't that be wonderful? But we have Dr.
You.
I'm glad he's got
It's a tough name, Herman.
I know. Well, I mean, why you is like you look at that.
It's a real tough name.
Should I say it like it looks? And the answer is yes. And his wife, Kate. Good to have you guys.
It's good to be here.
We're blessed. This book, which you're going to see a website often, and you really need to get a copy because I read it. It is absolutely worth taking your time. In fact, what is amazing, it's the kind of book that when you go through it, you start saying, that's me. And then you go, oh, that's me. I've had that. So you
got about everything in the book, Herman?
Well, I don't know. I guess it's because maybe most people do that. But it's amazing how you have pinpointed so many things in the human body. And that's why I like this kind of medicine.
Yes.
Because it's the way God made the body, and you prove that the body can heal itself if you do the right things.
Correcting the underlying problems.
Yeah.
Yes.
Give me a little of your background.
Well, I'm originally from Korea, and my medical background is I'm a board-certified internist. So I'm a MD, and I work for managed care for almost 10 years. And I decided to leave because what we are doing is just managing the disease. We're not really curing the underlying problem. So I left, and I've been investigating this alternative complementary medicine for the last 20 years. And I've been writing the articles for the last almost 20 years, and I decided I need to write this into a book, let people know about what this is about. Because there are so many people who go through suffering because they never get to the underlying problems.
Yeah.
So part of I cannot claim anything because our body heals itself. So we can call it as a spontaneous healing, or I like to call it accidental cure.
Okay,
if you
now,
correct all the underlying problems.
That was going to be my next question. Accidental cure, because it's throughout the Bible. Throughout the Bible. See,
No.
Bible on my mind. It's throughout the book. Accidental cure. Follow that in your book.
The idea is, first of all, as a physician, we cannot really claiming cure any disease. We can say we can manage the diabetes, we can manage cancer or heart problems. So we really can. So legally, it's hard to claiming ourselves we can cure any disease. But if you can correct those underlying problems, like a hidden dental problem, hidden infections, especially like parasite problem, allergy problems, nutritional support and cleansing, our body began to heal at a different rate for everybody, is different pace. And now we can say patient get better. And sometimes people think they are cured, and well, I cannot claiming it, so why not call it as a accidental cure? I'm not going to be responsible for your cure. You cure yourself, and I'm just promoting that to happen. That's my idea.
Keeps you away from malpractice, doesn't it? Accidental.
And I'm not responsible for your cure.
That's right. That's
Kate,
right.
you met this guy how?
We're working together at an HMO when he was the medical director. I was in the sales and marketing department. Later, I ended up going into developing my own job as a patient advocate.
Oh,
So that's
great.
how I met him.
Did you, when you heard him diagnosing and talking to people, you must have thought, that is one smart dude.
Actually, when I had really difficult patients, I would call him and say, please take care of this patient. And he'd say, I love difficult problems. So he was always so helpful.
Oh, that's great.
You talk about in the book patients who are candidates for extreme medicine. Extreme medicine. What is that talking about?
I'm talking about outside the box. Now, if somebody...
You're talking about what now?
Outside the box. Think outside the box.
Okay.
So somebody comes with unexplainable symptoms, either fatigue, pain, or some unusual cancer or tumor developing, and they have done every known test, all the blood tests, X-ray, CT scan, MRI, PET scan, and they still don't know what is going on. Now we are forced to look into outside the box. So when you get into the outside the box, usually our medical professional people say, well, that's totally, that's like a totally outside the standard. There's nothing is proven. Sort of, they don't take it seriously.
Because they must have research, right? Many people, unless they have a lot of research, they don't want to assume you know what you're talking about.
Well, there is no. Once you get into other alternative complementary medicine, there is no what I call double-blind, control studies. Mm-hmm. So a lot of them are empirical. But we cannot reproduce another patient because they may require different kind of therapy. So it's very hard to make that kind of a control studies when you're getting into the outside the box. Mm-hmm. So that's what I call extreme medicine for extreme patients, or the unusual cases we were talking about.
So what do you do when that person comes to you and has had all these tests and everything, and the doctor still can't find out what's wrong with them? What's the first thing you do for them?
Yeah, I measure the acupuncture meridian, the energy flow of our body.
Okay, now you have that throughout the book. So
right.
The book, I mean, goes in detail. It doesn't, we're just covering the surface right here. But you go into detail, and you talk a lot about acupuncture. Now, how were you first introduced to that method?
Actually by dentist.
A dentist?
Yes. Dr. Douglas Cook from small town in Wisconsin. I was in Chicago for his conference, and it was hard for me to believe that it is possible that how dental caused so many unexplainable medical problems.
Now we're going to go into that because in reading the book, it's amazing what the problem with dental. Your teeth or any gum problems, root canals, you go into detail of why that could be the catalyst for what is going on in the body.
That's right. Mm-hmm. So Dr. Cook introduced how to detect a dental problem by understanding meridian system, how to measure how your meridian system is running, because all the meridians are running through your jaw and through your dental point.
Now you say that again, because I'm not picking it up here, so they're not picking it up there. Say that again.
The dental and meridian go through the whole system.
Okay, what is meridian?
The energy flow of our body that has been known for thousands of years. This is not a new information, but new way of measuring it. The old acupuncturists feel your pulse to see which meridian is out of balance. But for the last 60 years, it's a German medical doctor named Dr. Voll developed this technique to measure electrical current running through in your acupuncture point to see which meridian is balanced and which meridian is out of balance. And most of those meridians go through your dental and your jaw point.
Now, it's really funny
Amazing.
You say that because about 7 years ago, I started having problems, and it was
Medical
right
problems.
after
Yeah.
I had a root canal done.
Yeah.
Yes.
And in my own self, it's how you can almost analyze yourself sometimes, it seemed like it stemmed from the time I had that root canal done, that I started getting these kind of lupus problems.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't off then. It probably was.
No, after reading his book, honey, you were right on. I mean, in the book, he's got page after page going into, okay, now.
So I do have a case study actually with the lupus and autoimmune disease. That case has a dental problem, infections, heavy metal problem, parasite problem, allergy problem, and able to reverse the whole, the antibody titers for ANA, C-reactive protein, cell rate, all back to normal. Those lab tests define either autoimmune disease and lupus.
Yeah.
What does, I mean, here's a root, he has, even a diagram and a display of showing what a root canal will do to the system. Give us a little taste of what is in the book.
that the danger of the root canal inflammation has been known for over 70 years. Dr. Weston Price is a dentist. He was also chief scientist for American Dental Association, was studying this and published in about 1,100-page report, a detailed experiment he did on animals and also on humans about the danger of this root canal can cause pericarditis, chest pain, endocarditis, can cause rheumatism, lupus-like symptoms, arthritis, fibromyalgia-like symptoms, neurologic symptoms, mental disorders, all those associated with root canals.
In fact, you say in the book, one individual that thought they had, or diagnosed with fibromyalgia,
right,
discovered through this kind of analysis that they didn't have fibromyalgia.
Right, because fibromyalgia is just symptoms. Mm-hmm. It can be caused
soreness and all of that. Yeah,
it's just symptoms.
Right, it can be caused by dental problem, but it could be maybe allergy problem or other kind of infections and parasite. In the book, talk about one case diagnosed with fibromyalgia and respond to parasite medication. Another patient may
now explain. Okay, let's stop right there. Parasite medication. What is that about?
Yeah, this is another my real emphasis on dental and parasite.
Okay.
Now, typical Americans don't ever thinking about parasite infection is so common, but we overlook.
Yeah.
And the reason I able to pick up was, first of all, I was checking the meridian system. They will give you informational clue. And I was in Bolivia. I was in the U.S. Army, part of the peacekeeping mission. I was in La Paz and Oruro. And we are dispensing basically everybody parasite medications. One of the cheapest parasite medications available, mebendazole and parental palmoate. Those are relatively inexpensive parasite medications. We're just handing out to everybody to take it. And then very few days later, or sometimes the next day, they bring this, jar, the parasite, or some of them describing how the parasite coming out of their skin.
Oh my goodness.
That was the year 2000. And since then, I have been using some of those medications on my patients, and I realized that not only help you for your gut, for irritable bowel syndrome and colitis, they say their asthma improves. Sometimes the asthma disappears. Their migraine headache disappears. Sometimes the brain lesion disappears, the tumor disappears, and it's like, this is not possible. There's no medical textbook ever describe this phenomenon. So I've been writing and documenting these cases, and I said, I need to write this into a book, let people know. Parasite is a major epidemic problem in the United States.
You think this in a third world,
right?
Yeah. But you don't think about this in the United States of America. But where do we acquire parasites? From what?
It can be from food, from the water supply, but also it can be from the air.
Wow.
The eggs in the air from the animals, dog, cats, and just everywhere. It's available, just it's floating around. And just think about Florida, or like California. There's so many the migration from South America, and they are very well aware of the parasite problem. And they may have a parasite with them in Florida, but you don't have to be in Florida. Actually, I see a lot of patients from Iowa, and I usually make fun of those people from Iowa. They say, you came all the way down from Iowa to be dewormed. They drive 7-8 hours just to get dewormed when the vet can actually take care of them. And many of them are farmers, and I give common medication that they're familiar with. Ivermectin, parental palmoate, mebendazole, and he goes, oh yeah, I use this for my horse. I use it for my dog and for my sheep. And I say, well, I'll take this, no problem. And they feel better. The problem disappears. All this, I'm talking about medical symptoms that nobody could take care of.
So should everybody have a parasite medicine then? Do you think everybody should take it?
I wouldn't say everybody, but by the time they come to see me for unexplainable medical symptoms, when they went to major medical institutions like a Mayo Clinic and Cleveland Clinic, or one of the major hospitals from St. Louis areas, or Mount Sinai, Mount Cedar, they miss parasite problem, they miss dental problems almost always. But I will not say everybody have a parasite problem.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, read the book, okay? Then you can, he may be a little hard. I bet you're sitting there going, what did he just say? That just makes you go to that website and get this book, okay? Because he says it in here clearly. You talk about the body's ability to heal is dependent on its internal environment.
Mm-hmm.
So explain that.
That's what we call biological terrain. The terrain is controlled by so many different factors, but the French doctor Vincent talks about our body pH, how it's important to regulate our terrain, and what we call reduction oxidation potential. This basically we say, do you really need more antioxidant or not? You know, like a vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin A, all those spectrum of the antioxidant in our body to protect our body. And also measuring what we call electrical resistivity. They give you your body is congested or not in your liver, spleen, pancreas, etc. By those parameters, we can say, are you susceptible to infections and getting sick? That's the whole concept of the terrain. When our body is sick, then our body is, the terrain is out of balance, then we're more susceptible to being sick for viral infections and streptococcal infections and whatever your problem is. Mm. And then it will manifest into symptoms as a pain, cough, pneumonia, neurologic symptoms or whatever. Those are all symptoms. Mm-hmm. Then we give a diagnosis, that's a lupus, asthma, MS, Parkinson's, whatever. Then we use a medication to control those symptoms with the understanding why we have these problems.
Now, you even talk about chelation.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Years ago, back in early 90s, maybe even in the 80s, I did a lot of shows on chelation therapy. Mm-hmm. And they would kind of call some of my shows whack medicine. It's like, you don't buy that stuff. But it's amazing how many people used chelation therapy, and one guy actually was going to have bypass, mm-hmm. and so he watched a show back mm-hmm. in the 90s, mm-hmm. had chelation therapy, went back for another examination to see if he needed the bypass. He'd already been told, you need bypass. Mm-hmm. The guy looks at the x-ray, it actually happened, and he says, what have you been doing? And he goes, why? He goes, there's no blockage. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Talk about chelation.
There are many different chelating agents. The goal is to remove the heavy metals. And there are two main chelating agents I use. One is called EDTA, and they can remove the lead, but part of the side benefit is they can improve your cardiovascular function. The U.S. Navy actually done the studies for those workers in the dark suffering from lead poisoning. And so they did a chelation therapy, EDTA chelation therapy for lead poisoning. And some people have actually chest pain and have a heart problem, and their chest pain goes away and their heart problem improved. So it was actually incidental finding. Or you may call it accidental. And so we've been using that EDTA for not only for lead poisoning and for cardiovascular problem. And lead poisoning is probably a lot more common than you may think.
From what?
From our environment, from when you're growing up, there's a lead gasoline, the paint mm-hmm. with the lead, and they deposit in your bone when you're young, and then you recirculate in your body. So when you challenge your body, often we'll see that lead coming out of your urine. They will measure those. And the other important chelating agent that I use is called DMPS, called dimercaprol propane sulfonic acid. And that's been around for over 60 years. Right after World War II, they developed in the United States and Russia to protect the public from nuclear fallout.
Oh, yeah.
And turned out to be, that was actually great for pulling the mercury out and also get the lead out. So when you measure using this kind of chelating agent for people with a lot of silver fillings, we'll see massive amounts of mercury coming out of their body, and also lead will come out because it's coming out of your bone.
That's amazing.
Now, you even, I was reading it here, I mean, it's thorough. A way to detox the body. You even have a whole article, pages on how to do that. Explain a little about detoxing.
We always start with the gut, because the gut is the main source of all the environmental exposure to it. So you have to make your gut move to have at least 2 bowel movements a day. And then you can get more advanced cleansing program, and I'm talking using herbs to get your bowel moved. Then you can do animal, or coffee enema, colonics. You can do what we call gallbladder liver flush, where you drink apple juice, and then you'll be drinking the olive oil to purge your gallbladder, liver, and also for pancreas. They put a lot of stress. If your gallbladder and your liver doesn't function well with all the environmental toxins, then your pancreas gets in stress. So you have to clean them out.
Well, you talk about actual objects coming out.
Yes.
That you can see.
Oh, yeah. I have one patient who has a schedule to have gallbladder operation, and he stopped by in my clinic on the way to schedule for his gallbladder operation, gave him the instruction how to do it, and he came back 1 week later. He says he was able to cancel the gallbladder operation, and he said he passed actually size of the golf ball coming out of his bowel movement, and he was able to cancel that operation.
Wow.
And then you talk about the liver, a cleanse.
Yes.
Very important.
Oh, yeah, because we get all those chemical, environmental toxins we get exposed to. Over 6,000 chemicals that are floating right now in the environment, from the food, water. You cannot get away from this. So we have to have basic cleansing program all the time.
How often should you cleanse, like your liver, your pancreas, and all that?
For new patients, I tell at least once a month for gallbladder liver flush for 3 times to 6 times. That means we'll talk about 3 to 6 months.
When he was in the book, he was telling me how many times to do it. I'm going, wow.
Wow.
Now, this sort of thing,
You do it?
Oh, absolutely. Wow. Especially when I travel, I have no control over what I'm eating.
Yeah, that's right.
And so when I come back, I usually do some form of a cleansing program, yes.
It's amazing in his book. I'm trying to get to it real quick. He has a whole list of food additives to avoid, and I mean, just amazing. You don't think that this is going into us?
Yeah, I know. And you talk about there's a case with a strawberry milkshake. I think Ed Schloss was talking about it.
Now talk about that.
There's no real food in it. There's all those chemical ingredients to call it strawberry milkshake.
And we get the taste, but there's nothing there.
Right, there's no strawberry, there's no dairy products, there's nothing. It's all chemicals and sugar. All those additives.
Wow.
And then we
Scary.
after enjoying all that, we have to get our body detoxed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so why we're getting sick, since young children are getting sick.
I know.
They're getting all those antibiotics, vaccinations, and while we are seeing autism, while we are seeing these young children developing diabetes and cancer is very rapidly rising. This is an epidemic problem that people have to be aware of, so we can prevent this phenomenon from getting any worse.
He even uses baking soda for a test. So it's in the book about how you can do that test. That's pretty simple.
Yeah.
And it gives you the results, and he can in the book tells you what those results mean. Cholesterol therapy, another. That's
a big one.
That's a big one.
Everybody's on statin drugs now.
I know, it's really a problem. This is what I call misinformation the pharmaceutical company create based on science, but the science is not true. What I call is all cooked up science, all in their favor. The cholesterol panel in 1980s, those panel, the physicians are under the pharmaceutical company's payroll. And so depends on how you interpret this data, it's a weak link, the cholesterol and the heart disease. but they pushed that cholesterol-lowering medications. And 1981, my lab manual says normal cholesterol for somebody who's 50 years old should be around 180 to 310. And now, all of a sudden, after Framingham studies, so we have to keep our cholesterol level 200 or below. And we use so much statin drug that has so much side effects. One of the most things people don't think about is a memory loss. That people, why cannot remember things, forgetful, is actually caused by statin drug.
Goodness gracious.
So first thing I tell them is, stop that statin drug. Then I get a phone call from the family members that if you stop that, my father's statin drug, he may have a heart attack. Because their cardiologist told them to scare them.
Yeah.
That's right.
And it's really a problem. That,
Kate, you see all these miracles walking into the
I do.
to the office. And I mean, it's got to be really encouraging to have people say, oh my goodness, I don't have that anymore. Or this test that you put me through and this, you know, chelation or acupuncture changed my whole body. I mean, that's got to be phenomenal.
Yeah, so as an example, somebody had a heart attack and the cardiologist said, don't eat steak. And when I see him and I check, and I say, you know, your biggest problem is coming from dental problem, and I think they're from the root canal. So I tell him, on your way home, stop by at the grocery store, get your favorite steak, and enjoy it. And when I tell them, because steak did not cause a heart attack, enjoy your steak, your T-bone steak, enjoy it. But make sure you see a dentist and get that root canal up.
Wow.
That's the cause of your heart attack, not the steak.
Wow.
I mean, he's got a whole,
I gotta talk to him.
whole section on dental.
Wow.
Quality of life, that's, you know, I'm getting there, old. Quality of life is important.
That's right.
And that's why I do so many health shows. I think I've done them since 1980. We started in 80, and I've done, I don't know how many health shows. But quality of life is important. But the quality of life that you want to make sure you have is a personal relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ. That is the best life you can ever have. Trust Him today. Oh God, be merciful to me, a sinner. Come into my heart and life. I receive you today as my Lord and my Savior. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Hello, I'm Bill Malone of Christian Television Network's Plan Giving Department. Did you know that a will is one of the most important documents that you will ever sign? Yet a majority of Americans die each year with no will, and so the government receives a large percentage of their estate in taxes and fees. We can help you eliminate this loss with our free Guide to Wills and Trusts booklet. Call the number on your screen or go to our website for further information. Your long-range plans deserve special attention.
Watch Life Today, weekdays as James and Betty Robison provide real answers to real problems through compelling guests and miraculous testimonies. Witness God's love through inspiration, hope, and life. Join us in making a real difference in our world by changing countless lives and building stronger families. Don't miss Life Today with James and Betty Robison, weekdays on this station.
30 years ago, I was sitting in front of the television set in my home, and a word was spoken that forever altered my life. And that's exactly what happens every day whenever CTN programming is going into people's homes. And that's why it's so important that as believers and as people who really want to change lives, we gather together and give of our resources so that CTN can remain on the air.
Did you know that over 1 million Americans are dying annually of